And one of the big topics in that guide that I wanted to talk to you all about today is not just a thriving pregnancy, but most importantly, like managing through that first trimester, because it can be a rough one. However, I will start with saying that if you've been following my protocol or what I do or what I recommend into getting pregnant, chances are your pregnancy is going to be pretty easy because you've already really set the stage for the basics, which is real healthy blood sugar and even keeled blood sugar. When you go into a pregnancy, having a balanced diet, eating lots of protein and fat, drinking lots of water, not going too long between meals, you have set the stage for nice, even keeled blood sugar. And that's the key to a healthy first trimester. And that's really the key to a healthy pregnancy. So all of my recommendations stand the second you get pregnant. I don't really change my protocol at all as far as diet and supplements, because everything I recommend preconception is completely pregnancy safe. And I make a point of that. Certain things I have you increase or decrease, depending, because, things change in pregnancy, of course. But really, to set the stage for a healthy, thriving pregnancy is preconception. That's the most important time. And you can play catch up once you're pregnant, but it can be a little difficult, especially in that first trimester, if you're managing through morning sickness and nausea. But myself, I had been following, my protocol, if you will, for, I'd say, 5 years before I got pregnant. And so I definitely had nausea and I definitely had fatigue. And I would always say it was like this general, kind of hangover feeling every day, or that you're about to get a cold, that kind of feeling where you're just not right. Your energy's a little low. You just kind of want a grilled cheese sandwich and call it a day type of thing, but I never got sick. I never had anything like that. And I really do chalk it up to how I took care of myself in the preconception period. And then also how I continued to kind of stay on the protocol. I remember in the beginning, the thought of eggs kind of grossed me out. I could eat them once they were cooked, but cooking them, seeing the white was nauseating to me. So I would literally cook them not looking, because I knew how important they were to me. Or I'd hide them in something like this, like in bone broth. I would hide it in pasta. I would heat up pasta, toss it with an egg, and get things in that way. And I definitely had my share of gluten-free breads and pastas and crackers. It was just what got me through, but I never missed protein. I would have protein with every meal, and that is a real important key here when you want to manage through that first trimester, and in particular through morning sickness. So I wanted to read from you, from my Pregnancy and New Mama guide, on some of the tips and strategies I have for managing through that first trimester, because, I wrote it all out. It's all in this guide, and I think it's pretty awesome, the information I have in there, because I've seen it work. It worked for me firsthand, and I want it to work for any of you, and especially if you're, heading into, you just found out you're pregnant, like morning sickness or that first trimester kind of lull, that low energy feeling, which again, some of it is we just need to embrace it, because it is change. Your body is literally creating another human. It's a really big task and it's a really big deal. So you should feel compromised. If you feel really good in your first trimester, I'm very suspicious of how healthy the pregnancy is. I don't want girls vomiting to the point where they have to get hydrated in the hospital. But I do want you feeling tired. I do want you looking a little pale. I do want you feeling a little general nausea. I want you having some food aversions. That's all a good sign of a healthy pregnancy. I want breast tenderness, right? I want all of those things. And so first things first, understand that when you get pregnant, you are not going to feel like yourself. And that is normal, and you should embrace that rather than think it's horrible. Your body is going through a really, really challenging task, and it's a big deal what it's doing. So when you get that positive pregnancy test, or if you're in the first trimester right now and kind of feeling like crap, I want you to first embrace it, surrender to it. This is that's a beautiful thing. That's your body giving you its cues that it's working quite hard to create another human. And that's so amazing. That's miraculous, right? So to embrace that and then begin to understand, I'm just scrolling through, to understand that really, if you can manage your blood sugar, if you can get a head start on balancing your blood sugar all day long, but especially first thing in the morning, you will set the stage for a better feeling day. So basically, my top tips for managing through that first trimester to then set the stage for a real thriving pregnancy is protein, eating protein within the first 20 to 30 minutes of waking up. And it can be something like nut butter. Like, I was a big fan of nut butter on gluten-free crackers or on a banana or some apple. When I could, I would get a smoothie in with lots of protein. Like, I'd put the collagen peptides in, and I'd do nut butter, throw in some avocado. I'd get my greens in that way because I could like mask it all in and throw some fruit, some raw cacao powder to get like a chocolatey flavor. Some days I could do that, other days I couldn't. I would try to eat eggs, right? And like I said, I would have to kind of scramble them, not looking at them because they nauseated me a little bit, but I would make sure for certain I would have some sort of protein and almost immediately upon waking, because otherwise it's almost like if you have the protein before the nausea kicks in, you're gonna keep the nausea at bay. If the nausea kicks in and then you have the protein, it's hard to catch it, because that nausea, like I said, is a total dip in your blood sugar. And another thing to really be conscious of is eat right before you go to bed as well. And towards the end of pregnancy, that's really hard because you'll get some heartburn, things like that. But in the beginning of pregnancy, and again, it's something small and simple. It could be a scoop of nut butter, it could be a little nut milk, it could be a handful of sesame seeds or pumpkin seeds, Brazil nuts, some cheese if you do well with dairy, something that way you don't go too long between when you go to bed and when you wake up without food, because that causes a real dip in the blood sugar. So you eat right before bed, you eat right upon waking, and you're really going to set the stage for some healthy, balanced blood sugar, which again, you need to manage through the morning sickness. If you want carby comfort foods, choose organic, because the pesticide load in wheat products, bread products, pastas, gluten-free or not, is really freaking high. And those pesticides impact your health, and they impact the baby that's developing in your body. So once in a while, I had maybe 1 or 2 bagels in my pregnancy. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Once in a while, having those things, fine. But for the most part, if you are doing glutinous grains, they must be organic. And then preferably sprouted. It's easier to digest. If you're gluten-free, and that helped you get pregnant, I urge you to stay gluten-free then through that first trimester. Then you can start introducing some gluten here and there after the first trimester, so that the baby doesn't have any intolerances or allergies. I did that, and I always ate, in the city, I was always at Le Pain Quotidien because they always have the organic breads. But I would just, now I make my own homemade sourdough, like that's another option. But if you're going to do the carby stuff, it must be organic. And if you were gluten-free and you feel like that played a role in you getting pregnant, or you have an autoimmune condition that you know of, remain gluten-free, especially through that first trimester, because there's so many things at work that you really want that pregnancy to stick, and I don't want you to reintroduce inflammatory substances that could trigger autoimmune reactions that could then trigger a miscarriage, which I have seen clinically. So basically, the diet that you were on that helped you get pregnant is probably the best diet for you, and I might shoot myself in the foot saying that, but the month before I got pregnant, I was in Paris and did have lots of cheese and lots of organic bread, and I was typically gluten-free and dairy-free. But I do think that I set the stage for a very healthy pregnancy for the 5 years prior, right? And that also, when I did have those substances that I didn't normally eat, I still chose really good quality ones. And I was really conscientious of, pesticide load and the quality of the food. And I really can't stress that enough throughout an entire pregnancy. I really want you to consider everything that goes into your mouth, goes onto your skin, the air you breathe in, the things you watch on television, that all impacts the energy and health of your child in utero. So you to really take that to heart. Okay, so smoothies, that's another great way, like I was saying before, to sneak in protein and veggies to soothe your tummy. I made lots of smoothies with coconut. I'm reading straight from the Pregnancy and New Mama Guide. So if any of you are pregnant and you're not feeling my Yes, You're Pregnant New Mama membership, you could still purchase the Pregnancy and New Mama Guide. It's on my website. I think we could post the link for you. Like I said, it's like 60 pages. It was a true labor of love. It's got so much freaking information in there, from the second you're pregnant all the way through breastfeeding and that postpartum, first 3 months. So lots of information in there. And if you do want to join the Yes, You're Pregnant membership, I'm also in the process of creating recipes and guidelines for feeding your child once you start feeding them, like their first foods and all that. And you're going to get access to that as a Yes, You're Pregnant member. Okay, so the smoothies. I made lots of smoothies with coconut cream, avocado, raw cacao, collagen peptides, spinach, fruit, and they got me through many of those early pregnancy days. They really did. Another thing too, most women in that very, those first couple weeks when they're not feeling so great, typically up till 12 weeks, they stop taking their vitamins because they can't tolerate to swallow them. They get really nauseous. And I was the same way, like, for those of you that have been following me for a while, I'm a huge advocate of cod liver oil. And the idea of taking my cod liver oil made me want to puke, And so I would sneak it in when I had a good moment. Like if I had a really good healthy breakfast and I was feeling really good and strong, I would just get my stuff in. I took spirulina, I took cod liver oil, I took probiotics, and I took my liver pills. The liver pills, if I couldn't swallow them, I would just open them up and put them in my smoothie or in some of my food. The spirulina, same thing. I got it in powder form and I would put it in my smoothie. And then the cod liver oil, basically I would take it when I could. I always take liquid at home, but I switched to capsules when I was pregnant. It made it easier. Probiotics, I got the powdered stuff as well and would add that to some of my food, which isn't super ideal. I was also drinking lots of kombucha in my pregnancy, probably one a day. And, I know that there's questionable info about that, but the rule of thumb that I've heard from many doctors is that if you've been eating or drinking kombucha on a regular basis, it's fine to continue that in your pregnancy. If not, do fermented foods. Like I really wanted like sour tart. So sauerkraut with my eggs in the morning was like my favorite thing when I was pregnant. I loved it. Fermented carrots, I just, beets, like I was really into that kind of like sour tart. So I was getting plenty of probiotics, and I really think that helps with not just managing through that first trimester and that morning sickness, but your immune system in pregnancy, and then most importantly, your baby's immune system once they come out. James is 2, he's been in preschool, he's been going to basically children's classes daily, being around kids for over a year, and now he's in school 3 days a week, 3 hours at a time, and has never had a cold, not once. He's had a couple like feverish moments from teething, but has never had a cold, has obviously never taken antibiotics or anything like that. He takes cod liver oil every day, he gets probiotics every day, he gets folate every day. Oh, okay. Am I still going? All of a sudden I got this notification, poor wireless, which makes no sense. I'm like in the room with the wireless connection. Anyway, let's get back to this. So, another thing too that really will help manage through that first trimester and that morning sickness is drinking bone broth daily. And here's mine. Obviously, I drink it pretty much daily, no matter when. But in pregnancy, it was another really great way for me to sneak in my egg, my protein. I would, just do my homemade bone broth. I would sip it like a tea. I would add like the ginger puree. What's that brand? Something ginger. It's got the little bear as I can't remember the name of the brand, but of Ginger People. I would add like a big scoop of that into my bone broth, and that would really settle my stomach. And then also on the days that I felt like I couldn't eat much, I would just sip on bone broth throughout the day because it's got lots of fat and protein, and it's nutritious for certain. So, and sometimes if I was feeling adventurous, I'd add some avocado to it and just kind of eat that. Felt really good and so soothing to your stomach. Another thing that works really well if you're feeling nauseous is to suck on almonds, or cashews are probably the best because they're like the softest nut. But just sucking on them, and you actually start to digest them, so you start to get some protein and fat from them. But it's a really good way to kind of soothe that nausea. And the ginger chews made by the Ginger People, that company, I like that too. Obviously, hydrate, tons and tons of water. Super, super duper important here. The number one reason that women in their first trimester are ever hospitalized is because of dehydration. Your need for water like doubles pretty quickly. So, your blood volume starts to double pretty quickly, which is why you get so knocked out in the beginning. Your body's trying to really catch up, and you really need to hydrate. And so this is like, even if you need hot water, if it's tea, obviously, ideally, non-caffeinated and safe herbal teas for pregnancy. But sipping all day long, I would add lots of lemon, or even like this. This is like half kombucha, half seltzer water. I did a lot of this in pregnancy because the tartness really helped with that nausea or that kind of sick to your stomach feeling. Another thing that is super duper important, which I didn't know as much about, I used this in the later stage of my pregnancy, but now I've learned so much and really see a difference in women in their first trimester, is taking magnesium. So you can do it several ways. You can take it in powder form and kind of add it to water and drink it like a supplement. Or one of the best ways to get it in is through magnesium oil, which is really easy to make. It's kind of a 1-to-1 ratio between, you have to use distilled water and magnesium chloride salts. You boil the water, add the magnesium salts, dissolve it, spray it on your body. You can do anywhere between 10 and 20 sprays a day on the softer tissues, so on the balls of your feet, on your inner thighs, inner arms, even on your belly. Really, really helpful. I love magnesium oil so much that I've actually started selling one in my Amy Ralph beauty store, and I make it myself. We actually add some essential oils, the essential oil of blue chamomile, which adds an extra soothing and relaxing boost, and it's totally pregnancy safe. So we use it all the time. It's great for non-pregnancy symptoms too. It's great for, constipation, anxiety, sleeplessness, blood sugar issues. That's where it really helps with pregnancy. And then later pregnancy, it's amazing for those muscle cramps, that kind of achy feeling in your body, the discomfort, the constipation, postpartum when you get constipated, which you will, just for a little bit, but it's normal. Whether you had a vaginal or a C-section, you're going to have a little constipation. Magnesium oil is amazing. It's amazing for getting more restful, deeper sleep. There's also some really good magnesium-rich foods, things like dark leafy greens, sesame seeds. So I do a handful of sesame seeds pretty much every morning, always. Avocado, almonds, dark chocolate is another great excuse to have some organic dark chocolate. I say 72% or higher. And, those are all good magnesium sources in food. But I do think in pregnancy, every woman should be actually supplementing with magnesium. And I think the transdermal method, which is the oil, is the best way to get it in. So you can check out, we just posted my magnesium oil on my website. It's $11 for 2 ounces. It'll last you probably 2 months or something at 10 sprays. And, the key is if you're taking too much, you'll get looser bowels or softer bowels, so then you pull back in. And that happens to some people, but most women do great with like 10 squirts a day, and they really feel a difference. I wish I knew to take magnesium in my first trimester, because I think I would have had an even easier time. But I love recommending the magnesium, and through the entire pregnancy, it's extremely pregnancy safe. And then it's even great for postpartum, for healing and for recovery. Okay, Sarah Jane, my friend wanted to know, maca, bee pollen, and royal jelly safe during pregnancy. I would hold off on the maca. I don't think any of them are unsafe by any means, but I do think in pregnancy, the less is more approach is better. Maca it's a powerful antioxidant. It's an adaptogenic substance though too, so it can have an interesting effect on the thyroid at times. And so a lot of times in pregnancy the thyroid can get a little wonky, and I kind of pull back on supplements like that. I think bee pollen, totally safe. Royal jelly, same thing, you know, but I don't think you need all of them. Like if you're taking it, you know, bee pollen I could see for allergies, you know, but again, like I said, I'm a really less is more, like as simple as possible in pregnancy. I think that's the smartest, and to get most of our nutrition from our food is one of the best approaches. Okay, so we talked about magnesium oil. So I think the big things to really help you have a thriving pregnancy and really manage through that first trimester, you have to remember to eat protein like the second you wake up, and I want you to eat some protein right before you go to bed as well. I want you hydrating, lots and lots of fluids. I want you to kind of, you know, sneak in your supplements when you can, when you're feeling your best. Use smoothies as a great vehicle for lots of foods that you can get in to really help you get the nutrition that you need. Make them yummy, make them fun, you know, and drink lots of them. Don't skip meals. For certain, don't skip meals. If you're not feeling hungry at all, sip on bone broth all day. It will give you tons of nutrition. Throw in some of that ginger people, fresh grated ginger, or just buy the ginger root, fresh grate it. You know, if you're gonna go for the carby stuff, I still recommend that in, you know, limited amounts, and making certain that it's organic, because the pesticide load in non-organic bread, pastas is really high, and that'll impact you and the baby. If you were gluten-free to get pregnant and you felt good, your body felt good, and you feel like that played a role in helping you conceive, I would urge you to stay gluten-free throughout that first trimester, and then you can slowly add some organic gluten back in the second and third trimester to just get the baby exposed so that there are no intolerances or allergies when they come out. And also, when you eat those carby pasta dishes, add protein. So I would, like I said, with my pasta, I would always throw an egg in there and like sneak it into the mix, you know, make it like carbonara style. If I did bread, I always did it with like a nut butter and like some fruit or something like that. And, you know, hummus, crackers, that kind of stuff. Make sure you're getting protein with those carbs, because carbs just alone is going to spike your blood sugar and you're just going to feel like crap. You know, drink bone broth. Sucking on the almonds or the cashews is a great way to kind of manage through some of those real nauseous times, and taking magnesium. So if you guys want more information on how to best support yourself through your pregnancy and into your postpartum, check out my Pregnancy and New Mama Guide. It's on amyralph.com under the workshops and guides. And if you're newly pregnant or in your pregnancy, or a brand new mom and you want more support, you want a community, you want a tribe, join my Yes, You're Pregnant online community. And I'm going to be in there in, gosh, very soon. Oh, I'm running late for my office hours in my secret groups. So now I hop to my groups and I do my office hours. So first I go to my Yes, You Can Get Pregnant online community, and I host office hours there and answer all questions. I do that weekly. And then I'm going to hop over to my Yes, You Are Pregnant community and do the second office hours. We do those the fourth Thursday, I think, of every month in that community, and then we're constantly posting and doing things to really inspire women and instigate conversation and community. So if you want to join the Yes, You Are Pregnant community, I encourage you to do so. And if not, check out the Pregnancy and New Mama Guide on my website. And if you have any questions, comments, post them here. I'll circle back through later in the day, and I will see you guys next week. Love you. Bye.